welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Ormark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And I'm showing you at the moment various different things that you can do with this lovely designer series paper, pattern paper, which is Sweet Stockings. It is just absolutely adorable. It's in the new mini catalogue, in on all the papers, and you can make so many cards. I've shown you a sort of an idea of how to cut them all up, and particularly not the whole images. If you find, and you'll find on a lot of them, you will get, so for example this one is right in on the side, so you don't get his tail and you don't get anything of that. However, if you cut him out, and as I say, just fussy cut him, not a difficult thing to do. You don't have to be overly accurate, because if you mount it onto white, basic white cardstock like this, you have him coming out of the side, but he looks as if he's sitting, smiling through. So I've put this on a piece of Whisper White, which measures 1 3/4 inches that way by 2 3/4 inches that way. So I literally just put it on so that it fitted perfectly and wasn't too big or too small, and just fitted in on there. Now I've taken a piece of cherry cobbler 1/4 inch wider, and that's going to make my little mat, and that will be my focal point for my card. I've then taken from the brushed metallics, which again is a returning favourite. It's absolutely lovely. Stitched rectangles, but you can use anything you want. And I'm going to put this in on top like that. Okay, so it doesn't fit. You're going to have a smaller piece that side to this, but it just gives you that little piece in on the back. Then I've taken from the same paper, there's some lovely twinkly lights which match these perfectly. So I thought that we'd take a little strip of this, and this is just a strip that I've got at the end when I've been cutting down my papers. So this measures 1 5/8. Is it 1 5/8? Yes, 1 5/8, and then it is 5 1/4 inches long. So that just happens to be a scrap that I've got over. I've got a base of cherry cobbler, and we're going to put this down on this side here. So that's sort of our start of our workings. And then we need to add some bits and pieces to make it look really pretty and sparkly. So I've got some of the new metallic ribbon. This is the cherry cobbler and gold. And I want to put a piece that just sort of runs down against on here. But I also want to use some of the lovely metallic mesh ribbon, which is, I'm just using it, I've used it all the time. So I thought if we put a piece of that down first, and then maybe put that in over the top, that will give just a bit of sort of sparkly twinkly to the back. So I know I can put this piece down first, so I'm going to put this on. And I'm going to put this down with my wet glue, because I want it on this side, because that's where the dog ends, and it's then going to go into the twinklies. So that's why I'm putting it in on the right hand side of the card. So a little bit of wet glue. And we're just going to pop this down in on this side like this. Now again, if you find it difficult to line up with a long piece, do it on the horizontal rather than the vertical. Then you can get it where you want it, turn it round, and you know that you've got it exactly as you want it in on there. So we're then going to take the the mesh ribbon, and we just need to take it just a little bit longer. So I'm going to take our paper snips. You can do this with anything you want, really. It's just a way of adding some extra to the background with just a tiny strip. So this is going to go in on here, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a gap so that it comes down. And with this one, you don't want to be putting anything on this side because it will it's mesh, so it's going to sticky through. However, I'm using this make sure I've got it where I want it. Yes, I'm using the Stampin' Seal. This is the Seal Plus, and I'm just going to run a little bit just along here like that, and a little bit just along there, because that will give it something to stick onto. And then I'm going to take my ribbon on here, and I'm going to give it the same sort of gap between this side. So I'm just going to take it from here, and then I'm just going to tuck that bit in so it's just stuck on that side, and then do exactly the same on the other side, so it's just stuck to that piece on the back, and then that just holds it in place. You don't need too much to hold it in place because we're going to be putting things over the top. So now we're going to take the metallic ribbon, and I want this piece to just literally go through on here. So I'm going to cut it off enough. This ribbon will fray, so you need to make sure that you've got just a little bit more than you want, because you don't want it to fray on the edges. And on this one, I am going to run the seal down on this piece on here. So I'm just going to take it all the way down like that. And then I can put the ribbon just running down like that. So I'm butting it up to the edge, but I'm not doing it over the top. And then just smooth it down gently. Don't overstretch it, otherwise you'll end up with it being out of shape. So always do it sort of quite gently, and then just a little bit of the Stampin' Seal just in on there. I think I've missed that out a bit, but that should just be about all right. And then the other little bit in there, and again, don't overstretch it round on the corner. And then that's what we've got on here. So we've now just added quite a lot of interest to the back of the card. Now we're going to take the gold piece. It's going to go in, I think, probably fairly central on this one. So I'm going to take this little piece first. But you can see with literally just one little tiny piece from the Designer Series paper gives you your focal point. You can then put it down. So let me just make sure I'm getting that fairly straight on there. So we've got our 1/4 of an inch border in on there. And then I'm going to put it on here. Now, I could put it with dimensionals. In fact, I prefer to use my wet glue, I really do. I don't like having too many layers, particularly when you're posting quite a lot of cards. You know, your postage can go up with just a little bit of extra. I know that it's going to slide about a bit, so I need to be just a little bit careful. And I want to make sure that I've got the same height from the top to the bottom, because it is slightly a different size, but I wanted the stitch rectangles, and that will then work in on here. Then we can put this in over the top like that, so that it comes in quite nicely on there. In fact, I can probably do it over that way a bit, so we've got more of that paper showing. I think that will work better. So we've got the ribbon behind it, we've got the paper showing in there. All we need to put now is a sentiment. So I'm probably going to use, what am I going to use? I want something quite small. I think I'm just going to use the Merry Christmas from Peaceful Dear, and I'm going to put that on. So let's see if I've got a little scrap of, have I got a scrap of Whisper White out here? I don't know whether I have. I've got some full pieces which I don't want to use. Let me have a look and see. If I haven't got a scrap here, I've got a scrap over there. So bear with 2 seconds while I find if I've got a scrap. Yes, I always keep my tail ends where I've cut them off and put them in on here like that. So we need to do on this, we're going to, let me just measure this. So this is 2 inches by 2 inches by ½ an inch will work perfectly for this. So I'm actually going to cut my paper first. So 2 inches by ½ an inch. So let me just put my pieces over there because I don't want them to fall everywhere. So what did I say? 2 inches by ½ an inch. So let's put this on here for a minute. 2 inches. I cut this down. 2 inches by ½ an inch. So I do it the other side for that. That's 2 inches by ½ an inch, which will fit that on. So I need to do my mat 2 1/4 by, oh, that's going to be right. So 2 1/4 should give me my mat for this. So let's have a look and see. Was that right? No, that's way too wide, isn't it? ½ an inch. So I want it 3/4 of an inch. Did I have it that half? That is 3/4 of an inch, isn't it? Maybe that's, is that? I'm doubting myself now. That seems to be the right size there. That's obviously not ½ an inch. Let me have a look and see. It is, well, it does look ½ an inch to me, doesn't it? Yeah, that's ½ an inch. So that is 3/4 of an inch. That's 3/4 of an inch. Well, it just looks a bit big, doesn't it? I think I'm going to have to cut it down just an 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to take an 1/8 of an inch off of this because I don't want it too much. So let's just cut an 1/8 of an inch off of there. And that, with a bit of luck, will make it better, because I think ½ an inch is just too much. Yeah, so we'll cut an 1/8 of an inch off of this piece as well, because we don't want to have too much. So let me just cut 1/8 of an inch off of here. That should, hopefully, I haven't cut that too small. Might have done. Right, I'm not fiddling about with that anymore. So what I need to do is I need to put my sentiment in on here. I'm going to use this size block, and it doesn't really matter as long as I pick it up. I'm going to use the cherry cobbler again, and I'm just opening it up carefully, and I'll put this one in on here. It's quite a juicy one because this is a new one, because I couldn't get hold of any refills at the time. So Merry Christmas in on there. Perfect. And then, yes, it's very juicy, so I've got to be very careful with this. Then I'm going to put it in on here, which is just, I think I just cut a tad off of this too much, but hold on a second. Right, I've got that on there. I'm just going to let it dry for a second. I'm just letting my dog in, excuse me. It's quite chilly outside now, so don't go treading on my paper. It's quite chilly outside, so I've got my patio doors, which I normally have open, I've got them closed because it's a little bit too chilly for me. So it means that I have to let her out, and then she likes to wander about the garden, and then obviously as soon as I go live on my videos and start recording, she's like, I want to come in, I want to come in. So this is going to go in on here. I do need to just, I think it'll be all right. It's just a little bit short, but I think it'll work okay. So I'm just going to put a little bit of wet glue on here. Just get that round in on here. And then we can put this in on here. I'm being very careful because I don't want it to it takes a moment, particularly when your inks are brand new. They come and they're obviously very juicy when they're new, so I want to make sure that I'm not sticking my finger all over it. Okay, and then that can go down at the bottom. Right, so I'm definitely going to put this over this side, and I am going to glue it actually, to just show you that you can glue right the way through. I could use dimensionals, but as I said, I've got this layer plus the layer on top plus the ribbon. I think if I put a dimensional as well, it would definitely take it up into the next layer, but I need to make sure that all of this is covered with some glue, because we want to put this down, and we were going to have it slightly over on this side, weren't we? So let's just put it about there. And then I can put that down and make sure that's gone straight. Now, if I'm a little bit concerned, what I can do is turn it onto the other side and give it a good rub from that way down, because then that stops me putting my hands all over the bits that I've got in my layers, and I'm just doing it from the back, and then that should hold it down nicely, which it has. I might have to just stick it down a little bit on that side a little bit more. And then I'm just going to put the Merry Christmas just across in on here, I think, or I might do it, I could do it just down at the bottom. I don't know whether I want to cover up my little guy or not. I might just put it down at the bottom. I always dither when I'm doing sentiments, or I could put it exactly down on there, which would give it just a little bit more of a layer on there, or bring it across on that side. However you want it. I think I will probably put it just down in on that side, just offset, or I might put it on that side. I'm going to dither with that a bit, but that just gives you the idea of just putting a little bit of extra on. So it's a very simple card, just jazzed up with different types of ribbon to give that bit of sparkle, a little bit of metallic as well, which again just gives that that feel to it, bit of designer series paper, and your one focal image. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, please stay safe and well, please be kind, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.